Hey, welcome everyone. This is Mike from ZoZoStockWatch.com, and this is going to be your Let's Get Ready for the Week Ahead, October 29th through November 2nd, and also your stocks to watch list will be attached to this video. Let's get into some of the news that came out Friday after the bell. This courtesy of the Trade Exchange. Not too much news that came out after the bell Friday. Kind of quiet, actually. But scrolling through, we had some news from ADRO, also ARLP, but there wasn't much movement in either one of those stocks in the after hours on Friday. Jazz had some news after the bell on Friday. Let's see. As far as top insider purchases, we had PTI, POL, MEET, CAD, IFF, ASGN, FRED, APO, SSP, STON, SNX, and GASS. The one that stands out to me here is this PTI. So I added that to my watch list. We'll get more into that as we go through our watch list. And then in some syndicate news, some offerings and whatnot that came out for Friday after the bell. We had APTV, CHKE, and ELS. And this, once again, this information courtesy of the Trade Exchange. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the unusual options activity. Trade Exchange does this mailing each and every day. And here was the unusual options activity from the Friday session. We had DK with unusual call activity, QSR, which is Burger King. They also own Tim Hortons in Canada, so QSR had unusual options activity. To the put side, we had VSH, Mattel, Caterpillar, GE, and IQ. So that's some of your unusual options activity courtesy of the Trade Exchange. We'll go ahead and get into some of the markets now. So, pretty much of a bloodbath. The markets have been very weak right now. A lot of the institutions are doing some selling. Really, on Friday, no place to hide here or for the week. A lot of red on your screens, so nowhere to hide there. As far as the heat map from Friday, this courtesy of FinViz. There were a little, spots of some green this Friday. We had some buying in Intel. Intel was up 3% on Friday. We had some other stocks that were in the green, PBR, CEO. We also had Valet was up Friday, up about 2%. Guild was up almost 2% for Friday. So some areas of green, not a total bloodbath from this Friday, but the banks were weak again. JP Morgan, Bank America, Wells Fargo, Citi. But we did see some heavy call activity come into Citigroup and Bank America. So maybe turn in the banks is coming. There was a big position in both of these names taken off the options activity from Friday. Baba was down again. Amazon was down almost 8%. So pretty much, pretty much a bloodbath here. If we go ahead and look at the exchange traded funds for Friday. We had the SPY down 1.76%. The Dow was down 1.30%. Also, we had the EEM, which is the emerging markets. Now, on CNBC on Friday, John Nigerian said that there was a big purchase in options on the EEM. And I wrote it down in my notes. Okay, a massive position in options in the EEM. About a 15 million share position was taken in the EEM. via options. All right, so just a heads up there for that. Don't know if it's going to come as a bounce, but the EEM has been moving down a lot. So an big options position was taken in the EEM. As far as the markets themselves, right? Once again, the wrong things are moving up. You have VIX moving up, so the fear is increasing a little bit in the VIX. The gold was up slightly for Friday. Silver was up a little bit for Friday. As far as for the week, you see that gold, though, for the week was down 15%. JNUG was down 13% for the week. So the flight to safety in gold not really happening there right now. Year to date, gold is down 57%. JNUG itself is down 55%. So Nugget is down, I'm sorry, 57%. JNUG is down 55%. We have the OIH down now for the week, 9% on the OIH. The oil services sector, such names as Schlumberger, Halliburton, Rig. So those names were down, and we'll get more into those in our worst stock for the week segment. The SMH for the week was down almost 6%. On Friday, was down another 1.81%. The banking sector was down 1.44% for the week. For the week, it was down 5%. And then for the year now, the XLF is down almost 10% for the year. The IWM for Friday was down another percent. For the week, it was down almost 4%. And then for the year now, the IWM is down about 3.5%. Year to date on the markets, the only market that is green right now for the year is the Qs. All right, so we have the Qs that are up. The Dow Jones is down for the year. The S&P 500 is also down for the year. So the only market we have up right now for the year are the Qs, the Nasdaq Composite. That's the only market of equities that's up for right now. All right, so let's go take a look at the action in the SPY. And, as you can see, I have my lines here color coordinated. This green line is the 200 SMA, and these come off of the daily chart. So then I put them onto my intraday chart so I can see kind of where I am with the daily chart. The 10, the light blue line here is the 10 SMA off the daily chart. And then we have the 5 EMA off the daily chart. And right now, as you can see, we're still below that. So Friday, they let me make this bigger for you. So Friday, they gapped us down Friday. We kind of just chopped around in the pre-market. They tried to turn us up at the open, but then sellers showed right back up. We came down to about this 262. 30 spot on the SPY on Friday, and then we got a nice bounce, but we sold off into the close. So going into the weekend, the bulls could not hold this bottom here, and then we sold off again. If I show you on my daily chart for the SPY, I keep a 400 SMA on my daily chart, and as you can see here, and what it means to me is that, maybe we're getting to a little bit of, for now, short-term oversold, all right? And we kind of bounced off this 400, the purple moving average you see here. So we kind of bounced off of that, and we got to bounce back up. But as you can see, not a great candle, not a strong candle as we sold back off into the close. The RSI for the daily right now, we're currently got a 30 on our 14 RSI. So, we're getting down into oversold territory, but we have been lower on that gauge. So we'll have to see. If we look at it on the weekly chart for the SPY, on the weekly chart, we're at about a 36 on our RSI. So still a ways to go before we get, according to this RSI, until we get oversold. So, but In the short term, though, you might say that we are a bit extended to the downside here, maybe a bounce coming in the markets. And, in down markets, you can get some big moves back up and then moves back down. So, bearish or corrective markets can give you, moves up like we had on what was it Tuesday. We had that 500 point jump in the markets on Tuesday this week, and then we slowly gave it all back again. So you can get some nice bounces in the market. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the earnings that will be coming out for the week ahead. This courtesy of Earnings Whisper. All right, and I go ahead and I have some stocks that I show you here that are important to me. So as you know, Monday before the bell, we have Yandex. Weatherford is an oil company. Transocean after the bell on Monday, but no real big market moving names in that earnings report. Tuesday before the bell, you have General Electric, you have Under Armour, Coca-Cola, Pfizer, BP, Lumber Liquidators, LL symbol there. Tuesday after the bell, you have a big name here, Facebook. So that's going to be a big night for Facebook there. You have Baidu, eBay coming out with earnings after the close on Tuesday. Wednesday, we get kind of a quiet as far as the bigger names reporting. Wednesday, we have Fitbit, Chesapeake, GM, GNC, and whatnot. But then we move into Thursday. We get Spotify and Apple on Thursday after the bell. To me, this is kind of make or break for Thursday, right? You have, we'll have to see what happens with Facebook on Tuesday, but then after that, Thursday after the bell, you have Apple coming out, and this could be obviously a big market mover one way or the other. Starbucks also reporting after the bell on Thursday, U.S. Steel. Then Friday before the open, you have Alibaba, BABA, the symbol there, ExxonMobil, XOM, Chevron, CVX, AbbVie, and Seagate Technologies. Now, WDC just took a big hit, so you have Seagate, STX will be reporting earnings before the bell Friday. Let's go ahead and look at the calendar of events that'll be coming up. And once again, this courtesy of the Trade Exchange. This is their calendar that they put out each week. This one is for October 29th through November 2nd. If you notice, if you click on these, you can get the companies that are reporting for each day. So they have this nifty drop-down calendar. The main thing that's going to be sticking out for the week ahead for economic information is on Friday. We get the employment report, the non-farm payrolls. That's going to be at 8:30 on Friday, November 2nd. So that's a big market moving number. Monday we have at 9:45 we get Fed speak from Charles Evans, and then after that it's pretty straightforward as far as the economic information coming out. All right, but leading up to Friday, the employment report. So I wrote down some notes that, during the week I write down different notes, what stands out to me. So last week the GDP came out on Friday at 3.5%. For the third quarter, estimate was for 3.3%, led by consumer spending. So the GDP number was good on Friday, but the market sold off into it, thinking that maybe a slowdown was ahead. Uh, and then from all the Fed speak we had last week, it still looks like the Fed is on track to raise rates in December. I did notice some of the home builders came up off of the lows, such as Lennar, got some nice bounces there, and PHM, you got a nice bounce there. So maybe a temporary bottom is in on some of the home builders. We'll talk more about that in a moment. So they came up off their lows. Amazon, as you know, they reported last week. Amazon, the stock moved down after they reported weaker than expected guidance. So that brought Amazon down. Google was down on their earnings. Intel was strong last week after their earnings, and they also got a upgrade from Nomura and a $55 price target for Intel. We were actually trading that in the service on Friday, and we got a very nice move out of that one. So Intel was very strong Friday. We talked about the massive position in options in the EEM. Um, we're still in the thick of earnings season. Apple will be Thursday. The VIX, for the longest time was at about 10, 11, and for a long time, and now it's in the mid 20s. But we're still not above 30 on the VIX. All right. Let me get on the right chart. So we're still not above 30 on the VIX, so something there for the bulls to lay their hat on. Now, the bears could also say, well, we're not above 30 yet, but, that means there could be more downside in this market coming up. As you can see, back in February, we spiked up to 50 when that hedge fund issues were going on in February. So, the VIX right now, we've been used to it being down in, the 15s and the 11s, the 10 area, and now we're kind of, in a normal area for the VIX. But we'll see what's going to happen with that if they're going to get more fear into the market. In February, like I said, we got into the 40s and 50s. Friday, the Dow was down 550 points, and then we got the reversal. 87% of U.S. stocks are below the 50 SMA. 79% are, and this is in the S&P 500. 79% are below the 200 SMA. So just some notes that I wrote down from last week and sharing that with you. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the worst stocks for the week, and how unusual, right, to see Amazon as one of our worst stocks for the week. But this stock was down 7% for the week. AMD reported earnings last week. The stock dropped 25% for the week. MU continues to move down another 12% for the week. TXN, that reported earnings. They were down 8% for the week. They guided down, and that's what pushed them down. WDC came out with their earnings report, and this stock was down 22% for the week on WDC, and that also took down STX. This is information data companies. This stock ended up down 11% in sympathy with WDC. Now, STX, they have their earnings Friday of the week coming up. NVIDIA also, the semiconductors remained very soft. This stock was down 13% for the week on NVIDIA. Facebook dropped another 6% for the week. Netflix, after their earnings report a few weeks ago, completely gave that up, and the stock dropped 10% for the week. Bank America was down for the week 7% on Bank America. Citigroup was down 7% for the week. As I said, the oil services sector, we had Halliburton down 6%, Schlumberger dropping 10%, Rig getting hit for 10% last week. The OIH, the oil services sector, was down 9% for the week. Caterpillar, after their earnings came out, this stock dropped 12%. General Dynamics dropped 11% for the week. Grub took a hit after their earnings. Stock dropped 23% for the week. ADAP, their data came out and it showed no response, this biotech name. So the data came out, it showed no response, and so this stock dropped 42% for the week. PTI came out with an offering. This stock dropped 25% for the week, but on Friday there was insider purchase on this name, PTI. SELB, Their data did not meet the expectations on this biotech, so the stock dropped 53% for the week. SGYP, unable to secure a buyer for the company on SGYP, the stock dropped 70% for the week. SNDX also dropped 31% for the week. Phase 2 did not achieve primary endpoints. RARE, R-A-R-E, this stock came out and dropped 23% after their phase 3 did not achieve a meaningful result, and that was on RARE. CUR decided to do an offering. The stock dropped 25%, and then JNUG was down 13% for the week, so no real flight to the gold stocks yet, or for safety or to gold. So that's some of your worst stocks for the week. Some of your best stocks for the week, we had Intel. Intel was up 4% for the week on INTC. Tesla, after their earnings came out on Wednesday, the stock has been moving up for the week, 27% on Tesla. Twitter, TWTR, also moved up 12% for the week. Seed had a nice week, up 15%. A Chinese agricultural name there, Seed, AUDC, also jumped this week, 29%. AMRN has been holding up very strong through all this market selling, and the stock for the week was up 11% for the week. FOSL, this stock jumped 13% for the week, so a 13% move up in FOSL. DCIX and some of the other shippers were up this week. DCIX up 28%. PXS, a Texas shipper, up almost 50% for the week. Fro had an 8% gain this week. These are all shippers. Tops also climbed 31% for the week. Some other stocks that were up this week: TAL, TAL Education Group was up 19%. SCHN, they had their earnings come out. It was an earnings beat. Stock moved up 9%. Now, this stock is in the steel sector, so we'll see if there's going to be a continuation move in this one. But for the week, it was up 9%. PHM, they had their earnings come out. Stock jumped 11% for the week on Pulte Homes. DECK also climbed this week, up 9% for the week. Some selected retailers moved up. Urban moved up 7% for the week. DDS also climbed 5% for the week. ANF had a good week, up 15% for the week on ANF. GPS also moved up this week, 7%. AEO climbed 10% for the week. So some retailers getting some buying. XLNX, this stock jumped 6% for the week. Their earnings came out. This is a semiconductor name, so this one relative strength out of the semiconductors, XLNX. BILI out of the China names, this one was climbing 5% for the week on BILI, recent IPO, so that one had a good week. NDRA also climbed this week, up 23%. YECO was a big gainer this week, up 16%. YECO had a good week. YECO climbing 16% for the week. ZIXI climbed 42% on ZIXI, a 42% gainer on this name this week. TVIX, something that you don't want to see moving up, but this climbed 35% for the week. TRVG, they came out with their earnings. Trivago up 28% for the week. CMTA, they plan to submit a new drug application on CMTA, so the stock jumped 46% for the week. So that's some of your best stocks for the week. Now, a lot of people are watching oscillators right now, and we're watching for the turn in the NASI to see if we can form a bottom. As you can see, we're continuing to head straight down. It's an oscillator. It's the NASDAQ McClellan Summation Index. So I have on here my 4 SMA on this chart, and normally when you get that move back above, or the 4 SMA crossing and the NASI crossing, that usually indicates that the sell-off is over and you can basically get back into equities. You see a cross back here in May for a nice push up. We got a cross back here in August for a nice move up. Currently, though, we have been down and staying down, and we have not gotten across back over here to get that. The markets themselves and my thoughts, I still think, right, we may get periodic bounces along the way right now. I still think we're headed down to the February lows here. It wouldn't surprise me. Also, if we look at the weekly, I've marked out here some of the spots. On the SPX, my weekly chart here. I've got it marked off some of the spots. Now we're in kind of that 10% corrective area on the SPX, which is approximately 2646. 20% would be 2336. 30% would be 2044, and 40% would be 1752. So if we're going to come in at around this 20%, we're looking for a pullback to about the 200 SMA on the weekly chart. Now, I don't know if we're going to get that far down. I think we're going to head into the February lows here at around, that 2,500 mark. But, your guess is as good as mine. It's just a guess. And, I wouldn't be surprised to see the market turn up for a little bit next week. If Apple earnings come in good, if Facebook can beat earnings, we might get a bounce in the markets. Seasonally wise, like I said, November and for the next few months going into November and into May are actually good months for the market, right? Once you get out of October. So we'll see if that's going to happen, all right? As far as some stocks that I have on my watch for next week, you know what? I'll come back and do a separate video on those, and we'll be back at you with another video with stocks that I'll be watching for Monday. This is Mike from ZoZoStockWatch.com, and this is your Let's Get Ready for the Week Ahead.